my name's Faria and I'm the Travelling Tooth. Welcome back to the Travelling Tooth. Today I'm going to talk about teaching in Thailand and why I did it, how I did it, any difficulties I faced and just my journey through it. So why did I go to teach in Thailand? After finishing my undergrad, I wanted to travel. I wanted to take a gap year away from education and I just wanted to be abroad. I didn't just want to travel, I didn't want to just backpack around. I wanted to work abroad and have that experience as well. I did my research and I felt that teaching was the way to go. I already have a couple of teaching experiences. I worked my last year of undergrad, I worked as a tutor, a class assistant and an invigilator at a school, and I also had other experiences. So what I did, I looked into it and I found that majority of the places wanted a TEFL certificate. That is the main thing to do when you teach English as a foreign language. And that was because I didn't have a PGCE, nor did I plan on doing a PGCE. I then looked into doing a TEFL course and I looked at the advantages, the disadvantages, what people thought of it, and I thought, why not? Now, there are a variety of TEFL courses. There are some that are completely in person, there are some that are online, there are some that are mixed. I wanted a bit of both, so I did a mixed course. This involved a weekend in person and the rest to be online. I did mine based in Birmingham, which is where I was living, and it was great. It was the entire weekend, a solid 9 to 5, where they did classes. Those classes involved a lot of lessons specifically on what would be online stuff. Now, I did my TEFL certificate with the TEFL Academy, and I felt that it would have been more beneficial if I started the online course first and then went into the classroom. And that is because if you have any questions, if you have any difficulties, you can ask that with the teacher and stuff. I thought it was great. It was a really fun class. There was a mixture of Spanish, there was a mixture of English, because of course we had to learn how to teach English, so it was a bit of a mixed setting. It was great. I would definitely recommend it. I think my course cost me about £200. The TEFL certificate is a lifetime certificate. You will always have it. It doesn't expire. So I decided to do my TEFL course, and also I worked alongside whilst doing it because it was online and it wasn't very strenuous. I know that if you were to put all your effort into it, that you could do it in a couple of days. Again, this is only with the TEFL Academy. The main thing that took a lot of time was the assignments, because you have to wait for someone to get back to you, which could take a week. I've received a lot of offers from China, and having been to China before, it was a possibility for me. The pay in China was really good and it was an option. One thing you have to be careful when applying for a job and teaching abroad is the visa requirements, because you need to go there on a working visa, and a lot of the companies wanted me to teach English there without a visa and on a tourist visa, which is illegal. So I wasn't too comfortable with that. There was a lot of places, there was a lot of jobs that I had, and I decided not to go with them because of that. There was one job who would say that I would work on a working visa, but every time I tried to go and I tried to sort out my working visa, there was always some form of complications. It was coming to the point of my arrival date and I still didn't have anything to show for the visa. I didn't have any applications or anything in process, so I decided not to go with it. What happened in the end for me is that I ended up saying no to that job in China. It was a lot of stress and it seemed a bit not the place I wanted to go to. When I did my research, it seemed to be a very common thing to get teachers to arrive and work on a tourist visa. It may have been common in that area to do that, but I didn't feel comfortable in doing so. And also I heard a lot of stories where it was now being very heavily controlled. Those who did do that, they would get into big trouble, so I didn't want to partake in that. So then I continued to look, and I used a lot of agencies that was recommended by my TEFL company, such as Serious Teachers, and I ended up applying for a couple of jobs in Thailand. I came across an agency who had a lot of options, and I contacted them, and then we started speaking. They were a great company, they were very responsive, there was a lot of location. Although I did say to them I wanted to go, I didn't receive a lot of clear-cut answers until I actually booked my ticket. It makes a lot of sense because they would probably receive a lot of applications and then people who back out because It could be scared, it could be other things. You know, a lot of reasons why people would not decide to fly across the world. Yeah, so this experience was nerve-wracking, and I would say that a lot of times I was worried about going. Which could have been a reason as to why I didn't go, and why I said no to a couple of jobs. The job in Italy asked me to fly within the next week, and I felt like that was a big decision to make, especially when you have to commit. I think it was 6 months at that point. So it was something I was a bit worried about. So with Thailand, what I did, I had researched what I wanted to do. I researched flights way beforehand, and I knew where I wanted to go. I made a list of places I wanted to go, of prices that could have been found, and then also it was really difficult to actually book that flight, and just because once you book the flight, it's a commitment that you make. I did have friends who were very supportive. One piece of advice I was given was just book your flight and everything will come way. And that is the best advice I have been given, because it's so true. Once you book your flight, it's a commitment you've made. At some point, you just have to stop thinking about it and just book it. Otherwise, you're just going to constantly delay and delay, which is what I did as well. It takes a lot of courage to actually book that flight. It was an experience. I booked my flight 10 days prior to the day I wanted to leave, and once I booked, I emailed them, I told them, and all they did was give me an address, and that I found to be quite scary. So for Thailand, I was also worried about a visa, because again, it is the same thing. You have to have a working visa, and you can't be working on a tourist visa. However, the agency that I spoke to said that what I would have to do is I would have to go to Laos, and I would then have to get a 3-month working visa from Laos, and then come back into Thailand with that visa where I'm now able to work. They gave me the option of not having a visa because I was only working for a month, and they said that, you know, you might not be, no one might check and stuff, but if I did, I would be in trouble. So I decided to go and get my visa because I didn't want any troubles in a foreign country. The reason that they recommended to do it now was because, first of all, I had someone of my age, a female, who was also needed to get her visa, and I could have gone with her, or I would have to go by myself. And I was much closer to where I needed to be from Bangkok than where I would be in Champon, because currently it was a 12-hour journey, and if I went to Champon and I then had to go get my visa, it would have been like a 20-hour journey. So I was just like, okay, I've got someone. Bear in mind, I have never traveled by myself before, so this was a foreign concept. They kind of sorted everything out. They paid for my coach and stuff. So my friend and I ended up going to Laos via an overnight coach. We then had to get like a tuk-tuk and then a bus to like cross over the bridge and the borders. We had to go through border control. It was a very long and extensive process, especially when you're going through jet lag and you've just had like a 20-hour flight, because I also had a day overlay in Dubai, so I hadn't slept basically. So it was very strenuous. It was very stressful. From there was a lot of conditions as well. Like the embassy only opened for a couple of hours, as I think that was around the time of like holidays. So as soon as we got off the bus to Laos, it was like 7 a.m. and apparently the waiting time was 4 hours, and they closed at 12. So instead of going to an apartment that we had paid for and booked, we decided to go straight to the agency with our staff. And again, it was horrible. It was hot, it was humid, we were tired. My friend flew from South Africa, I flew from England, and it was very stressful. It wasn't a great condition to be in. So what happened was we waited for a couple of hours, we met people, and we learned a lot about people. I heard a lot of stories, and yeah, you get to know people. Thailand is a very friendly place. There is a lot of tourists, which I discovered. Most of the people at the embassy had been trying to get a visa to like stay longer. I met someone who'd been getting like 6-month visas for 15 years. So it was quite wild. I was shocked. So the process, so we got to the embassy and the requirements needed was like a TEFL course, a degree, a passport, just a bunch of stuff. So I made copies of everything, and apart from my passport, they needed my physical passport. So we had to pick it up the next day, and if we missed that at any point, we would have to be in Laos for the weekend because it was a holiday. We sorted everything out, then we went home, we showered, we slept, we ate, enjoyed Laos for a little while. It wasn't any of the tourist areas, it was just in Savannah Kep. But again, it was an experience. A tip I would say is if you ever go to Laos from Thailand, I would use Thai baht or just dollars. I would not get their local currency. And that is because when I got my local currency, I think I took out possibly £100 in Laos. So they gave me I'm not sure what the currency is called, but they gave me Lao currency, and I wasn't able to use that in Thailand. I wasn't able to exchange it even. I ended up exchanging that money like right at the end of my travels, and it became quite difficult. And also everywhere in Laos accepts Thai baht. So just stick to Thai baht, honestly. It would have been so much easier. So once I got my visas sorted, I then came back to Bangkok, and my friend and I went our separate ways. Again, this is quite scary because I've never traveled by myself. At least when I had a friend, I was a bit more secure, but going by myself was a bit worrisome. And again, I was very apprehensive about traveling at night. However, because I was going from Laos to Bangkok, I had to travel at night, and I did get to Bangkok at 4 a.m. and that was terrifying. That is another story in itself. So if you would like to know more, then let me know. All the teachers were lovely. The school was stunning. The kids were lovely, the teachers were lovely, my co-teachers were lovely. Everything was so organized. I knew exactly what class I was going into. As soon as I went into the class, she gave me a timetable. My average work day differed, but I did not work that much in terms of providing a lesson. I only provided English lessons, I'd say 11 hours of the week. The rest of the week I would be marking, lesson planning, and also helping my co-teachers. Also, I worked with kindergartneners, which meant that a lot of their day was nap time and eating, but they were so cute. So they were a whole vibe. There was a lot of cultural differences that I've never seen. For example, one thing I noticed was how the students would brush their teeth after they ate and before nap time, which I thought was amazing. There was a lot of cultural influences as well. There was like a teacher's day. They're also very focused. Every single morning we would have like the national anthem. The children would sing to the national anthem. They would have assemblies, and they would have like playtime. The whole school together. We would have a dance session during the morning once a week. It was honestly great. It was really lovely to see the entire school come together, and also how affectionate the teachers were. Like each teacher would look at the children as if they were their own child even. The school was amazing. We would have regular meetings. Any concerns that we would have, they would address them. In terms of the school itself, it was great. The kids enjoy learning. A lot of my students were so eager to learn. They had swimming lessons, they had dance lessons, they had playtime. That was one thing I found quite shocking actually. They had allocated playtime. Like in the UK we have lunchtime and stuff. They didn't really have playtime after that. That was one thing I found a bit shocking. Overall, it was a great experience. If you have any questions, then please let me know. And if not, like and subscribe.